Hi, it's Doug Coy for So What Do You Think Lifestyles. I'm sitting here with a very good friend of mine, a fellow I've known for a number of years now, Gordon Pennington. Well, where do you start with Gordon? Best known, I guess, for being with Tommy Hilfiger, was part of that whole marketing team that took him right to the top and made Tommy Hilfiger a household name and one of the largest men's companies in the world. But he's no longer with Tommy Hilfiger. He is working with so many different things that if I was to do that, we would run out of time on our interview, just me explaining what he's doing. But needless to say, one of the areas that he's involved in is talking in universities, sharing different thoughts on consumerism and all kinds of things. And he's a devout Christian. So let's start there. Tommy Hilfiger. That was quite an experience. That whole time of your life, a lot of people say you were living the life, man. I mean, yachts and cruises and helicopters and boats and, all the beautiful people in the world, right?
Yeah, it was a window into a part of life that is fascinating. But I wasn't a very healthy person, and I don't think I really contributed as much as people might think. I was part of a team and a mechanism that was propelling itself to great things, but I really felt like I was a pretty lonely and isolated person, a broken person, really.
That seems to be the story we hear. It's like a broken record coming out of Hollywood. You ran with some of the best known people in the world. And yet, when we look at the lifestyles, we see unbelievable brokenness. Why is that?
I think it's human nature. It's hard to get away from the idea that the world is a beautiful but broken place. So I think people all seek significance, and they want to be known for doing something meaningful, and they want to contribute to the world in some way, and they want to find out what it means to be fully alive. But in the process, I think we all make choices that aren't always the best ones, and some choices are better than others. I mean, what is it we really decide to do? We finally get tired of running. At least I did. So coming around to a place of faith meant basically coming around to a place of admitting my brokenness, that things weren't working well, that I was lying to myself and others, and I was living in I called it the elegant death spiral. I really felt like I wanted to be an Epicurean, surround myself with aesthetic beauty and the things that I felt would contribute to a meaningful and enriching appreciation of life and culture. But I was constantly feeling that I was at odds with myself somehow. And people, as a result, people around me, if you're not comfortable in your own skin, that's going to come out eventually. So for me, it was a process of surrender, really just stop running and see who's knocking at the door spiritually. And for me, I looked at the other side of the door, and it seemed like it was a very patient, loving, caring, forgiving, healing, spiritual presence. It was the God I'd been running from for a long time. So it shocked me that he would still have the patience and interest in reaching out to me. You talk about the application to spirituality. Well, institutional Christianity has really gotten a black eye over the centuries because it isn't always a reflection of something that's as pure and as accessible as what one might imagine or one might see in the Gospels in the life of Christ. So I think there's a movement back to rediscovering and recapturing what it is the nascent followers of Jesus experienced, what was so transformative about them and their lives that they actually lit a fire under the entire Hellenistic world, and people were absolutely galvanized by the heroic commitment these people had, even under the worst kind of treatment and misunderstanding and persecution. There's clearly something there. Is it a myth? Is it a deception? Is it some kind of terrible ruse that's been foisted on centuries of people? You got to look at it closely and honestly to decide for yourself rather than take somebody else's as a word for it, and their hackneyed views and jaundiced interpretation of something that's really beautiful and profound and life-giving and transformative.